so sorry to disturb you. I was looking for, it's a motion, it's section 11-20, or I think it's 11-B. It's a motion to seal.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll just go through it. The case I have across the street.
The housing case?
Yeah. You want me to wait till you over there?
You're fine. Hang on for a second.
I was here for a few minutes. I went upstairs to see if anybody was upstairs. I didn't know if you were in the office or not.
Are you the plaintiff or the defendant?
Defendant.
Are you looking for the whole case to get sealed or just like a specific filing?
Let me sit down and read through this real fast because the clerk over there, he told me to read, he gave me the paperwork, he said read through this, and if it applies to you, then ask for the...
I'm gonna give it to you. It's basically template, right? Because there's not a pre-made form for this, it's something you have to draft yourself. So what I'm gonna do is give you everything you need to be able to make it. All you gotta do is put in the details and why you want what you want.
Okay.
So. This is a basic motion to seal. Okay. You can get this information from anywhere on the site. The docket will have docket number, plaintiff, defendant, JD of Hartford at Hartford, I'm guessing, because you're here, date you file it, and then just in the body of it, you explain what you want and why you want it. Okay. The more precise you can be, generally, the better off you are. Be concise, but you don't have to write like a big essay or anything like that.
Okay.
And then just explain to the court what exactly you want. So you want the case to be sealed, you want file number 110 to be sealed, whatever it is specific to it. If you need more paper, you can just say see additional paper and I can give you more paper. It's not a big deal. Sign, put your information. And then once you file it, we're going to give you a copy and you're going to send a copy to the other side. This is where you put down where you sent it to. So you send it to the other party, or if they have an attorney, you send it to their attorney.
Okay.
Alright. Do you have any questions or anything?
No, sir.
There you go.
I know you probably don't really know too much about like, housing law or anything like that.
I mean, I do.
Is it legal for a maintenance man to put eviction paperwork in your door? Because like this is I keep going back and forth because I was taken out of my house illegally. The previous owners, they sold the building. I had a lease with them. The new owners, I never had a lease with them. Their maintenance man stuck eviction paperwork in my door on August 31st.
No, by eviction paperwork. Can you be precise?
Like
what
literal eviction paperwork.
Was it a notice? Was it a notice to quit? Was it a
No,
letter?
it wasn't a notice to quit.
Complaint?
It was just full out eviction. And I'm an idiot because I didn't think about this or realize it at the time. Like there was information for a marshal, and when I contacted the marshal, that pretty much put everything in motion for them to take me out of there illegally. I didn't have any lease with Nova Management. That's the new people that took over the building.
So how that works is when there's a landlord who owns a building, right, and you have a tenant, so you have a proper landlord-tenant relationship, the landlord can sell their interests and have another party, it's called step into the shoes of that landlord,
Mhm.
maintaining the lease. Usually it's to the protection of the tenant. So just because you didn't have a lease with the new company, if there was still a valid lease with the old landlord, it's very likely that that lease would still apply to you and the new people. Normally that protects tenants from being unfairly kicked out.
So here's the thing too, it's the last thing and I'm just gonna go through this paperwork. The last owners, BH Property Management, I had mold growing in my bathroom for like 5 years and they never fixed it. So the new people, Nova Management, they were aware of the situation and they never fixed it, but they were pressuring me into signing a lease. So like, how do you want me to sign a lease and you didn't even fix this? I was going through this with them for months until they did this illegal shit and all this.
Did you, before this started, talk to any housing officials, any public health and safety people, anybody about that?
The city came multiple times
They did.
and they found the old owners and the new owners at fault.
Okay.
But yet nothing was fixed.
Do you remember when you contacted them, the city? Or did you contact the city or was it someone
No,
else?
I contacted the
Okay.
city.
Do you know what date?
I know it was in January.
Roughly. Okay. It was in January. When did they start the proceedings against you?
Um,
I'm guessing July, August?
They started it in January, and I actually called like probably like a week before I got the paperwork, but after I got the paperwork, I called again and I called again until I got somebody.
So you called before?
Yeah. And here's another situation. The old owners, they got money from Unite CT in 2021. And before they even got the money, because Unite CT was aware about the situation with my house, and before they even got the money, they were told to fix the ceiling, and they never fixed it. So they basically stole money and did not fix the issue.
Let me add, what were the grounds for the eviction?
Non-payment of rent. But if you got me living in a health hazard,
Right.
that's making me sick, I have to pay you to continue to make myself sick. Like how does that work? That doesn't make sense. If it was mold as dark as my hoodie on my ceiling.
It's complicated. So generally, once you make a report to a public health official, there's a retaliation grace period. Basically, they can't evict you for about 6 months from the date that you filed a good faith attempt with public health. Now, this has to be done before they file any sort of paperwork. So if they file paperwork and then you contact health department, it doesn't apply. The exception of this is for non-payment of rent. So if you fail to make the payment of rent by the time, then they can try to evict you. But then the proper recourse then is to raise what's called, I want to throw some legalese at you, but essentially exactly what you're arguing, that because the mold made the house, or made the home inhabitable, or like terrible to live in, a hazard and all that other stuff, then the obligation for you to pay rent has kind of disintegrated, right? It's called the warranty of habitability. It's in legal terms, it's the consideration that binds two parties together in a contract. Connecticut has recognized this basically since the 70s, and it's only gotten more and more powerful since then. It's not in the statutes, but it is judicially created. It's a common law that the judges have articulated. The point being is you can raise as a special defense that due to the presence of the mold, you were not obligated to pay the rent.
You see what I'm talking about? That's just one section of the ceiling. Like the whole ceiling's covered with mold.
Did you have a chance to explain this to the court, mediators, or anything like that?
Here's another thing, which I feel like I was set up, and I wasn't allowed to submit anything. The paperwork was started in January. I filed my appearance the court dates were like spread out. So there was supposed to be one in March. There was quote unquote inclement weather that day, but this court, the family court and Lafayette Street were open, but the housing court wasn't. And there wasn't another court date until like June. And I was pretty much bullied into agreeing to something that I didn't understand what was going on, by the mediator and the quote unquote new lawyer that stepped into the case. And then something else that I seen too. There was one lawyer that was always on the paperwork. I was looking on my phone while I was across the street, and the lawyer for the new owners, his name appeared on the paperwork from back in January, and I didn't meet this man until June. So how is it that your name is on this paperwork now, and you're quote unquote stepping in for the new owners in June? But I was contacting the original lawyers. But why are you on this paperwork right now? Like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, and come to think of it too, when the reason why I need this motion to seal the case is because, like, this is public information. My name has been used in fraud, and I have documents from the credit bureaus, and plus on top of that, people in my building have been using my name. People opening up bank accounts and stuff like that. And I have the documents with me. Like, this is crazy. Like,
That's good stuff to put in there. That if it happened, you believe that it's public information. That's useful. If you don't include that, you're kind of fighting uphill with the motion to seal, because there's always a presumption that you have to rebut. The presumption is that the public has an interest in transparent courts, right? Which makes sense until somebody's other interest overrides that. And one of them can be exactly as you described, that the information is being used maliciously against you. People are opening bank accounts in your name, possibly using the public information from that case. That's a very good thing to put in there. Okay. So, is the case over? Like, it's totally litigated, it's done, you're out of there, that kind of thing? Or like, what's the situation?
it is, but everything was handled improperly and illegally. I'm trying to get it open back up because, like I said, I never had any type of lease with the new owners. And then plus on top of it, I understand what you were saying, what you had just explained to me. But at the same time, like you said, if the house is in not a good condition,
right,
legally, I don't have to pay you rent because you never fixed the issue.
That's always a big maybe question. Because the question is only to be determined, it's a subjective opinion of the judge.
The mold's been growing since 2018.
Oh, I believe you.
No one fixed it.
I've been in an apartment with a mold, trust me, I'm sympathetic. Hear me out. Generally, if the summary process is closed, right, the way that you would try to raise that issue, unless you, okay, let me back up a little bit. Have you moved out? Do you have any place?
Staying somewhere where I don't want to be.
Fair enough.
So there's mold in that building as well. So it's just like I was better off in my house.
One thing that some people do, and I'm not saying you should do this, but just some people can do, an easier way, because realistically a motion to open is under 17-43 of the practice book, and 42, and 4, 17-4. You need to, motion to open is not just this was unfairly done. A motion to open has to be, there's special defenses that by mistake or through other means, other good cause, I was not able to raise. It has to be within 4 months of the final judgment. So if it was all done by stipulated agreement, it's when the judge signs off on it. If you're within that window, you can try. But realistically, they're not going to adjudicate warranty of habitability at this point. What they're likely to do, well, is say that it's moot because they can't order them to bring you back or anything like that. Like because there's no remedy there, there's no money involved in a summary process action. However, what some people do is they'll do a small claims action. Very simple, very easy, and they try and get their back rent paid. And they basically make a claim that you were never obligated to pay that rent and that they were unjustly enriched. And the reason why they were unjustly enriched is because you didn't have the obligation to pay the rent. And the reason you didn't have obligation to pay the rent is because the mold made it a health hazard, and like there was no warrant, like the warranty that you should be able to live there is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it gonna get your old place back? Probably not. I'll be straight with you. It's not gonna work. But if the judge finds in your favor, and they're pretty loose about the procedures and the rules and stuff in small claims court to try and help people not need attorneys, well, you can get up to about $5,000, if not a little more, depending if on security deposit stuff.
Okay.
And that money usually helps ease certain pains, right? As far as finding a decent place to hold you over for a bit. Something to consider. Okay?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Alright, there we go.
Thank you.